Could it be possible that a grand concert at Tokyo Dome, long known as a dream stage for global superstars, suddenly transformed into a moment filled with tension in just a matter of seconds? A moment so shocking that it not only stunned thousands of fans, but also sparked a wave of unanswered questions about what truly happened between Taehyung and Jungkook that night. The spotlight, which usually felt warm and mesmerizing, suddenly seemed too bright, too sharp, as if it was no longer illuminating just a performance, but something hidden beneath it. Thousands of armies who filled the arena came with one purpose: to witness a long-awaited show. But in one brief moment, captured clearly in multiple fan videos, the atmosphere shifted. Something felt off. Something felt unplanned. Jungkook stood at the center of the stage, radiating an overwhelming presence. His energy was explosive, almost uncontrollable. His right hand lifted high into the air, gripping the microphone tightly, his mouth wide open as he sang with full force. The oversized blue shirt he wore moved with every motion of his body, the bold yellow lettering and large white skull graphic across his chest standing out under the intense lights. Black gloves covered his hands, while the tattoos on his left arm were clearly visible, an unmistakable symbol of his self-expression. Why were they standing so close? Much closer than usual. Was it part of the choreography? Or was something happening spontaneously, something even the production team hadn't anticipated? Taehyung's gaze quickly became the next focal point. Unlike his usual calm, charismatic, and mysterious aura, there was something different this time. His eyes seemed to be searching for something, or perhaps someone. He didn't immediately follow the rhythm as expected. There was a pause. Brief, almost imperceptible, yet long enough for observant fans to start questioning. Seconds later, Jungkook slightly turned, and in that moment, the distance between them felt almost non-existent. Too close to be accidental. Too intense to be just another stage interaction. Fans in the front rows later claimed they could feel an unusual tension just from their body language. Was this part of the concept? Or a spontaneous reaction to something unexpected? The short clip, only a few seconds long, quickly spread across social media platforms. Within minutes, related hashtags shot to the top of trending lists. But it wasn't just because of their incredible performance, it was because of the mystery surrounding that moment. Some fans speculated that there might have been a technical issue on stage. Could their in-ear monitors have malfunctioned? Was there a sudden instruction from the production team forcing them to adjust positions in real time? Or perhaps a minor choreography mistake that required instant improvisation? Some said Taehyung's expression showed concern. Others noticed that Jungkook seemed to be trying to maintain professionalism despite something bothering him. There were even those who boldly claimed that the moment reflected a deeper, hidden dynamic between them, something that had never been openly revealed. Could there really be something going on between them? Or was this simply an overinterpretation by fans paying too much attention to every detail? What made the situation even more intriguing was how both idols continued their performance, as if nothing had happened. Jungkook kept singing powerfully, his voice steady, his movements precise. Taehyung quickly returned to the rhythm, his expression more controlled, as if sealing away whatever had briefly surfaced moments earlier. Or are they simply that professional, capable of handling unexpected situations flawlessly under immense pressure? Some eyewitnesses even claimed they saw a brief exchange between the two, a subtle signal that may not have been captured on camera. A signal that, if true, could hold the key to understanding what truly happened that night. But without any official confirmation, everything remains speculation. And like all mysteries, it's the uncertainty that makes it even more compelling. This phenomenon also opens a broader discussion about the pressures idols face on stage. In the world of K-pop, where expectations are incredibly high, every movement, every expression, even every second, can become subject to public scrutiny. There is no room for mistakes. No room for weakness. In fact, moments like these remind us that behind the perfection we see, they are still human. They can be surprised. They can feel pressure. They can experience emotions that aren't easily explained. As the night unfolded, the energy inside Tokyo Dome should have remained electric in the most predictable way. Waves of synchronized cheers, light sticks glowing like a galaxy, and the seamless harmony between performance and audience. Yet something subtle had shifted, and even those who couldn't quite identify it began to feel it lingering in the air, like a question left hanging with no immediate answer. Jungkook moved across the stage with the same precision he had mastered over years of performing, each step landing perfectly in time with the music. His voice, unwavering and powerful, filled the stadium as if nothing had interrupted his flow. But to those watching closely, really closely, there was a trace of something beneath the surface. Not visible enough to confirm, but present enough to be felt. A slight tension in his shoulders, a fleeting glance that lasted just a fraction longer than usual, as if his focus had briefly shifted elsewhere before snapping back into place. And Taehyung, he followed, but not in the exact same way he always did. There was elegance in his movements, as expected, but also restraint. It was as if he was carefully recalibrating himself in real time, adjusting not only to the rhythm of the song, but to something internal, something that had momentarily disrupted his usual flow. His expressions, often praised for their depth and storytelling, now seemed more guarded. Controlled. Measured. Why? That question spread almost as quickly as the videos themselves. Fans began replaying the same few seconds over and over, slowing them down, zooming in, analyzing every micro-expression, every shift in posture, every possible clue that could explain what had happened. Discussions flooded online spaces, theories layered upon theories, each one attempting to fill in the gaps left by that brief, but unforgettable moment. Some pointed out the possibility of a stage cue gone wrong. A missed mark, perhaps. In a performance of that scale, even the smallest miscalculation could create a ripple effect. Others argued it was too precise, too emotionally charged to be reduced to a simple technical error. There was intent in their proximity, they claimed. There was awareness. And then there were those who chose to focus not on what went wrong, but on how quickly it was contained. Because within seconds, the illusion of perfection had been restored. The choreography aligned once more. The expressions returned to their expected form. The performance continued as if the moment had never existed at all. If someone had blinked at the wrong time, they might have missed it entirely. And yet, for those who saw it, it was impossible to ignore. What does it take to regain composure that quickly under that level of scrutiny? The answer, perhaps, lies in years of discipline. Years of training not just the body, but the mind. Idols are taught to adapt instantly, to mask uncertainty, to prioritize the performance above all else. And in that sense, what Jungkook and Taehyung did next was nothing short of remarkable. But even the most refined professionalism cannot erase curiosity. As the concert progressed, fans found themselves watching more intently than before. Every interaction between the two became significant. Every glance carried weight. When Jungkook moved toward one side of the stage, Some noticed how Taehyung's gaze briefly followed. When Taehyung engaged with the crowd, others observed whether Jungkook responded in kind. Patterns were sought, connections were drawn, meanings were assigned.